welcome to today's video. This is my final look and I'm going to show you how we got there with all new products. Some of them are brand new to the market and some of them have been out for maybe a month or so. So what are we talking about? We got some Rare Beauty, we got some eyebrows, and we have some liner, and we're going to take a look at that. I have the Victoria Beckham, which you have already seen me do in another video, I don't remember what, and I actually have shot a video with a bunch of Victoria Beckham that I haven't edited yet because I know it's going to be so hard to edit. So I'm bringing that back in, and the thing I think most people who follow me would be interested in is the Natasha Denona concealer. So we're going to be doing that, and I have two new lip products, well actually three, Kjaer Weis Balm, and this is the Tarte, I forget what it's called, but it is the one that changes color. It's pH. And Jones Road came out with some bronzers, so we're going to be taking a look at that as well. And as we were shooting, stay to the very end, as we were shooting, I heard the sound of the UPS, and Grace came in because the front door is oftentimes open. Actually, I like everything open, but I'm keeping the heat out, so she came through. She's like, hey, UPS is here, because he usually gives her treats. And I thought, let's just open it. Wouldn't it be fun to end every video talking about what you're going to do for the next one? But it turned out that it was a package that I got in PR of sunscreen stuff, but they also sent me this, which is for lips and cheeks. So at the very end, I added this little blush and this little lip product. So we'll just talk about this ever so slightly. That's what's going on. Full disclosure, you guys, I shot this video a couple of days ago. In fact, several people asked me what makeup I was wearing when I was doing my overall review of the 8 foundations that I reviewed this year. And I didn't want to give everything away because this video was coming up. That's how many days ago I shot it. So I was editing it this morning and I thought, you know, I have different opinions now, and I was having issues, and I didn't think it would be very helpful to you, and I was not enjoying editing it. So now that I have used, for instance, the liner several times, and I have used this several times, rather than a first impressions, I'm reshooting this, having worked with it, and giving you some tips on how to make things work, or telling you what issues I ran into over and over again. And also, I had a little problem with my white balance. So before we get into it, I'm just, a little bit of warning. Things were looking super, super yellow until I cleared the camera and did another white balance. So just bear with me if the color is freaking you out. Maybe it doesn't freak you out. It freaks me out. I'm a color girl. Bad color freaks me out. And we do change that. And now let's get into the video. And it's hot and the fan is on, and I will change later on, but this is cool while not cute, and that's super important. Now, usually I would start with the product that I think would make sense. I've already done my foundation. I've mixed 2 colors because I probably, like you, am in this weird stage where nothing is really working for me. I'm a little bit darker than usual, and I would normally go on with my concealer. And I think that's what most people who watch my channel on a regular basis are very excited about. However, I'm going to start with the Rare Beauty products, and we're going to do a little bit of brow and a little bit of lining, and then we'll move into the concealer. Here's the deal. I've now had maybe 3 or 4 days working with this concealer, and I think I have some really good ideas of how to best make this work and what the pros and cons are. So when I shot this the first time, it was really first impressions, and it got a little discombobulating and probably not very helpful to you when you're trying to figure out, are you going to buy this? So that's why we're reshooting. Let's talk eyebrows. So this product from Rare Beauty has a spoolie, and on the other side it has the pencil. The pencil is flat, as I hope you'll be able to see as I'm going close up in here. I happen to really like something flat. Now, most people say, oh, you can do brow strokes with this, and on your hand, you can. But you know what? The skin on your hand is super different than the skin on your eyebrows. This is more fleshy, and it's not as taut as this. And I have never had, well, I haven't had much luck of everything I've ever tried of being able to actually get brow hairs with a product like this. I find if you want the brow hairs, to get those liquid products, which I used to have some, but they are tricky too, because if you're not bone dry up here, you'll do a stroke, it's really pretty, and you'll just watch it as it starts to bleed. And it just looks like a blur. I have gone with a beauty blender and really tried to get whatever might be here, be it a little foundation or maybe some sunscreen, off, so this is kind of a dry area before we go in. I want to show you one of my very favorite pencils, honestly, because it's easy and it's cheap and it's the same kind of thing. These are both, I want to line them up the best I can. They're both flat, but you will notice that the one in the black container over here, which is from NYX, is much longer, which I prefer. This color, I think it might be a little bit too warm for me, but we're gonna go in. Now, one thing I love about these flats, if you have, like I do, some blonde hairs and some gray hairs, I just kind of go back and forth. What I'm trying to do is just transfer this product onto the brows. I'm not trying to do any brush strokes, just transferring the product. And now I'm going to try to do brush strokes. There's so many people who do this flip, 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 flip really, really quickly. I'm not one of them. And I don't think I'm getting that effect. I'm just going to do those brush stroke feeling, and it is what it is. And brush it through. This is a good price for something at Sephora, which Rare Beauty is known for having more reasonable prices. I think this is $19. And the packaging is actually kind of nice. It has a heft to it that makes it feel a little expensive. So there we have on one brow, this brow, nothing. Now we'll just do the other side, and we'll probably cut away unless I have something interesting to say. I'm just going to do the same thing. Right here I have a little bald spot. So there it is. There's the eyebrows. Just let's give it a quick review right away. If you were someone like me and you have a lot of makeup, you can't help but wonder, what is this offering me that I'm not getting from other products? And I don't know if there's an answer. The color's a little bit different. The crayon portion is a little bit smaller. Is that something I really need? I don't know. I think it's perfectly fine, but I think this is perfectly fine too for $10 less, and you know, there it is. I think brown products are very, very personal, and if you find something that works for you, never mind what anyone else says. Just stick with what works. Now let's go on to the eyeliner, because this was something else that is, well, it was compelling to me. They are saying that this is a gel eyeliner. Oh, so is this. This is my Hourglass. This is the one that I love using in my waterline. I'm going to move in close right now, and you can see under my lashes is this white zone, and I feel like it makes me look a little crazy. I don't like that to show. I really do my waterline almost every time I do my makeup. This shade is Cave, and I would prefer something brown. I do believe Hourglass has a brown, but I think it has a metallic nature to it, and I just want a flat brown. Here's a flat brown. So already I'm thinking this actually may be a nice addition to my makeup wardrobe, because it's giving me the brown color that I have been looking for, as opposed to Cave, which is a brown black. This is the Cave. As you can see, it's darker, and this is the brown. Now let's compare the tips. I would imagine that this is less product, because look how much thinner it is. The tip is much thinner than the one from Hourglass. And why is that a problem? It's a problem because when I was doing the waterline I had to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Where this transfers, boom, it's there. And it covers the entire white area, including the area that's closer to the eyeball, the area where it's more watery. So let's go on. And I'm pulling you in. This might be freaky to some of you, but it's just not transferring very well. You really have to go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. And I find that the transfer is best at the lash line as opposed to the area that is closer to your eyeball. And finally, we got something going here. That took a lot longer than I really wanted to take, and I imagine if I use this every day, this area has to be super, super sensitive, and this might be bothersome. It might be slightly irritating for me anyway if I use this every day, going back and forth, and back and forth. I am pulling out my big mirror. Oof! It's the kind of thing where nobody should see themselves this close up. Yeah, it's transferred up here, but not that great, honestly. So I'm just going to keep on kind of buffing this, and from side to side. Now, on the one hand, I have to say I prefer something a little bit lighter. That's why I wanted something that was brown, because sometimes I felt like the black was too heavy. And while it's appropriate if I'm wearing one of my mascaras that give me that big full fat thing, it's not necessarily appropriate on an everyday basis. I also found that it didn't really stay all that long, even though this is supposed to be long wear. I found that the area closer to the eyeball would rub away, and the area where I got pretty much between the lashes stayed a little bit better, but I don't know if that was just because I was doing this lining. Now for this lining, again, I've taken product off my eyes. I haven't taken a paper towel, but I did a beauty blender, and transferring this onto the lid, it's not the easiest transfer. I really had to pull both sides pretty taut, and that's definitely not something I want to do on a daily basis. And now that I've rolled this up a little bit, I want to see if I'm going to have any better luck down here. I also find that you go through this product pretty quickly. The texture kind of reminds me of the liner that Milk did, which they discontinued, and that stayed in the waterline all day long, but it was a very weird texture and it would kind of break off. This will transfer if you're hooded, if you don't keep your eyes like this for a good 5 minutes. It will transfer right up here, and the first video that I did, it did. But in subsequent days, I continued to play with this, and I found that this will stay like 10 hours. But you have to do this kind of number until it dries down. I'm going to do the other side, and we'll be right back. So now we've done the brows, we've done the liner. Hopefully I'm not going to get any transfer, and we'll come back and finish that up with a couple of other things. Let's go on with the concealer. Let me explain to you a little bit about this concealer. The reason I wasn't interested in the first place in this is because Natasha Denona, to me, excels at eyeshadows. Her base products, her face products, have been fails, and you get burned a couple of times and you stay away. I don't think I want to go there, but several people I've seen say that this is fantastic, so I'm giving it a try. If I haven't mentioned this, if you were new here, I am 60 years old and I have a lot of stuff. I have darkness, I have lines, I have puffiness, I have crepiness. That's a lot to deal with, and Natasha Denona is also not known for dealing with these issues at all. So that's why I didn't try this out. When I shot it the first time, I was impressed with how much coverage there was, but a couple of things you need to understand when you're dealing with something high coverage. It has to match your foundation. It has to be the right undertone and the right shade. The shades are very, very tricky. I don't understand why companies seem to be going out of their way to make things more difficult. And I will tell you that I don't think that was her intention. In fact, in store, they had, I think it was 3, but it might have been 4 little bleachers, if you will. So there's a level and a level and a level, right? There could be 4 levels. The levels were depth of tone. The lightest at the bottom, the darkest at the top. Great. Each one of those bleachers has a different undertone. Oh, okay, this is finally kind of making it easy. So I'm just going to look neutral, because most companies that do yellows are too yellow for me. Even though I do have a yellow undertone, it's very, very slightly yellow. So I went to neutral, and then I went around Sephora, hot tip for you, and got a couple of my concealers and swatched them on my hands. The problem is the Dior concealer, which they had, is too yellow for me. The Lancome concealer, well, it had gone bad. It was a color that my Lancome concealer is not, and they don't carry Givenchy in store. So I decided 4 and 5. I should get both, but they only had 4 in stock, so that's what I did. I'm going to do a couple of swatches for you, because I think it's so important for all of us, right? This is 4, and she is neutral. Then we have the Givenchy Prism Libre in 2N50, I think is what it is, right there. The undertone seems a little bit different. I think this one is a little more pink. This is the Lancome 215 right here. And the Tom Ford in Creme right here. So these are the shades that we're looking at. And I think it's in the right zone when it comes to depth of tone. But undertone-wise, when I look at it this way and dance around, I think there might be olive in this. So let's give it a try. I'm going to do full thing on this eye, and then I'm going to do something else on this eye. So I'm going to get right here. I have a little bit of darkness, and this helps to pull everything up. And I am dark right here. Now, I also have a huge trough, and that is when the skin of under the eye, that puffy bit, meets the cheeky bit. It troughs right there, and just about everything gets icky in that zone. This is the Hot and Flashy brush, but you could use the brush from Ruffer, which is lovely. And you can also use these. I can't remember the name of this brand. I don't know why, but if I can find these, I will link these down below. And I like that that's a set of 2, and one of them is really small, which comes in handy. Ah, transferred. Do you see the liner transferred on both sides? And this like transferred off altogether. There's a blank spot right here. That's pretty solid coverage. I think you would agree. Another thing, if I didn't mention this, I'm going to mention it now. When you're wearing something with this much coverage, you have to wear it with a foundation that has a lot of coverage, because if you're wearing something quite sheer, and today's mix was the Givenchy Prism Libre, which is light medium coverage, and the Etherealist from Kevin Aquan, and that is fuller coverage, although not full coverage. I also tried it with the House Labs, but this color is no longer anywhere near my skin tone anymore, so I didn't want to do it today. Better with something like the House Labs. It's probably the fullest coverage that I have. Clé de Peau, also. I could have used the Clé de Peau today to see if that worked. I'm going to bring you in. This doesn't look bad at all, right? It doesn't make the eyes look dry underneath. You know it when you put on a concealer. It's just sucked everything out. But I don't think this is going to stay like that, and I'm telling you that because I've used this for several days. So we're going to let that be for a few minutes, and now I'm just going to go on with a little bit less. It makes a difference. It's not one of those concealers where you go with a light color and you see the lightness as well as the darkness underneath it. It does really seem to cover darkness quite well. And this application is just a little more appropriate with my foundation. you see what I mean? This is the full thing. You guys, I did another white balance because I was looking at my monitor thinking I'm looking more and more and more yellow. So now, now I look a little bit more like what I should be looking like. And the good news is we've had this a few minutes to settle in. Now let's move in closer. Look at that. It's called troughing, as far as I'm concerned. Not good. Now troughing, as I said, happens to me almost all the time, so it's not the end of the world. This is how I deal with it. I'm going to take this small one and very, very carefully, because I have darkness here. I don't want to buff this away. I want to iron this out. And this also works after you powder. So let's get some powder. I find that if after I powder this starts to happen and I'm really wanting to look perfected, I mean most of the time like whatever, it happens and I'll just hit it with my fingers. But if I really want it to look perfected, then I will stretch out my skin, use both hands and do that buffing, and I don't put on more powder. And I always use the by Terry because it's clear. It doesn't impart any color, and for me, it's more flattering. But see, despite how ginger I was, do you see how right here, some came off anyway? But I am sweating. I could have little to do with it. So I'm not saying that this doesn't work. I'm saying that for older eyes, you might have a little bit of issues with it getting into those lines. For me, it was in the trough, but I noticed yesterday afternoon when I was wearing this and I got out my big 10X and took a look, and it was a little messy looking. And I just went out and buffed it out a little bit and it was fine. It does last for a very, very long time. It does stay with you. So it has some good points and it has some tricky points, but it doesn't make you look dry, and that's a very, very good thing. It's just you might have to finesse it out, and once you're done with the finessing, it will stay for a long, long time. Now the reason I didn't powder my entire face is because we're going to take a look at these. I got two shades. I got the light and the medium. The medium has a redness to it, and it's quite dark, and I thought that it might be good for contour, but I think it's too red for contours. So it's really going to help you get that sunburned look, and you really don't need much product. There you go. Obviously it's not going to look like that on your face, and I will give it a few minutes to dry and then try to do a better job of shearing it out, or maybe I'll take some off. This is a gel formula, and this is the light one, the Kjaer, which I had initially thought had a warmth to it, but I don't think it does have a warmth to it. I think both shades are fine. I'm going to take a lot of this off and then shear it out so you can see what it'll look like on your face a little bit better. Really, so much product. That was just way too much. So here's the dark one, here's the light one. I think this product is tricky, and I love Jones Road. I'm going to post one of my Jones Road videos here. I think I have 3 or maybe 4, and it's a brand that really resonates with me and works for me. But this product I think is a little bit tricky. So when I first got it, I tried it on naturally. I usually get my packages around 4. On that day I didn't have any makeup on, so I wasn't prepped properly. I put it on with my fingers, as they say you can, and I was not enjoying it that way. I have since then used it with a brush like this, and we'll do one side with the brush and one side with the Beauty Blender, which I think might work well. So I cleaned off my hands. This is how much. This is the Kjaer. It's not that much, but look at her go. I mean, a lot of stretch to this. I'm going to pick it up with a Beauty Blender and get it evenly coated. And we'll see how this goes. This might be my favorite application. I don't know why it took me so long to figure this out. It's very, very light. So there we go. Picking up some more. and just working it in well so I don't have a big glob, but definitely I picked up more on this side. So with this application, I think that darker color could work for me because this application is so much lighter than it is with a brush. I told you I would do a brush application and I messed that up, but I do think that this is the best application. I think you just don't have much control with fingers. It's very tricky because the texture is a gel. It's very strange, like a heavy gel, not a watery gel. And with the brush I felt, oh, I'm much more comfortable, but with a beauty blender, much, much more comfortable. I'm just going to do the other color on both. So, picking it up, beauty blender, make sure it's even, and with a color this dark you can really tell if it's even. And you can get an idea of what this color looks like. I think actually I can use this color. It's just more of a sunburned kind of look. This is the application. That's so interesting because my first attempts at this, not so good. This is the one. Okay. I really, really like it. Yay! That's what the channel's all about, finding the best way to work with products so that they can work for you. Now, I'm thinking this is a strong thumbs up. Where before I was thinking, I might have to drag a little bit on this product. Let's do a check under the eyes. Okay. There's no creasing or anything going on here, so that powder worked, but again, you can see where I lost it right here. And honestly, I think it could have been about the sweat. This side's looking a teeny bit dry, and I'm just going to do the softest buff right here. It may not actually do anything on the body. It's more like right here, but on the body of the under eye, that's where I would have to stretch it out and really work it in a very specific way. Now, let's go on with something else. This is something that I've already shot, but I haven't edited because I know this video is going to take me an eon to edit, but this is the contour stick from Victoria Beckham, and it's so tricky for me. I have it in the color Marble. It's not tricky when I do it right here, but I thought this would be great for doing the nose because I kind of don't like my nose right here. But just right here. I don't want to do a whole thing up here. And all the makeup artists or YouTubers who are good at makeup that I've seen use products like this, contouring nose, they always edit it. They show you put it on and then you see them finishing. It's like voila. And even worse, they frame like this. Hi, I truly cannot see what you're doing when you're this far away from the camera. It's absolutely useless to me. And I happened to see one today. I watched an Andrea Ali video and she was doing a nose contour and I'll be, God damn, go a little closer and show us your process because it goes from a line to perfect. And that does not happen. So this is the area that I'm looking for. If you put your head down or up, you will see that shadow of the line. Well, on my nose anyway. And then I'm going to pull it in a little bit, not because I really wanted to, but because I hit the wrong area. So the line that I have here is 100% not even. One of the problems of contouring. But that's okay. I have seen people, and I have tried this with my fingers, and I was thinking finger probably is the way to go. Just keep it simple. But like I said, I watched Andrea's video today, and she was using a brush, and I thought, well, let me do the brush one more time. And she brings it all the way up here, but I think that is a hard look, and honestly, I don't feel the need to contour all the way up here, because I see that line. Actually, this might be the best application I've had so far. I think it's this brush. This is the 203 from BK Beauty, and it's kind of flat, it's pinched, but fanned at the same time. And it's very dense. But so many times I think, oh yeah, I finally have it, and then I look in the mirror and I'm like, no, it just looks like a line on my face. It's a fine line between blending so that you don't look crazy, but you're still getting an effect. I think I'm slightly in crazy zone here, but it is a process. I do like that it's so small, and you'll see in that video, I think I showed it in another video, how I used it around my lip to great effect and made the lips look a little bit fuller. And it's great for over here. You know what, let's just do it. Let's just do it. And for the eyes. So, wow, see how this just keeps on transferring. I don't need this in my eyes because the eyeliner has totally transferred. I'm just going back in with this dense brush. Now the cool thing is, you guys, if your eyeliner transfers because you're super hooded, it pretty much transfers exactly where you need it to be, right? Okay, for some reason it didn't transfer as much on this side, so it looks a little strange. So I'm just going to do this. And again, I kind of like this brush. I turn it vertically like this. I get a nice little smooth blend on it. But I can also turn it to the side to get this inner corner. Okay. I powdered my face and I was about to start picking up and I realized I hadn't blended in the contour. So now that's blended in, and yeah, I did the contour on the eyes. I put on a little bit of mascara. Let's move on to lip products. Several people asked me what lip I was wearing in my, what was it, my foundation roundup, reviewing or going over the 8 foundations that I reviewed this year. And several people asked me what I was wearing on my lips. I was wearing 2 things, so I don't know what part of the video they were talking about, but they're both new. This is from Tarte, and this is the Maracuja, and I don't think I have the box. I do have the box. It is the Juicy in Shift. So it looks like, well, at my Sephora Anywhere, there were 3 Shift colors, and you may remember me talking about this. This is a Givenchy color that, it's a sample I got, I think, from Beautylish, and I was cleaning, and I thought, throw this away, and then I thought, why don't I try it? Just try it. Maybe I'll get it. I loved it, but they don't make it anymore. And this is also a pH, and I thought maybe this will do it. This is not super, super shiny. I'm just going to put this on so you can see what this is. And it's a very comfortable. There's some shine, but not a lot of shine, and it just brings a little bit of rosiness to my lips. The rosiness I get from this is different, and there's a lot of shine to this, but let's put this on. The color itself is different, right? But similar. I feel that this one has a little bit more blue in it, and the texture is very different. So you know that Kjaer blush that's very big, those blue tone blushes? This is the kind of color you would wear with it. It's kind of bright and kind of sweet, and I kind of like it. But I can easily just tap this off after about 10 minutes, and the pink remains. I don't tap all of it off, but I can have it a little more muted so it's not so shiny, but the pink will remain. There is a little bit of a tingle here, but it's not terrible. It's not unbearable, just a little bit. And it kind of melts into your lips. So at first you think, ooh, it's kind of thick, kind of goopy. But when it hits the lips and it melds from the heat, it just kind of melts in, and the tingling kind of dies down too. Super pretty. And this is what I was wearing. Well, this could have been what I was wearing. Now I'm just going to tap a little off and show you how I can get that gloss down, and yet leaves a really pretty stain. Let's just take that off. Now the other thing I was wearing on the lips is from Kjaer Weis. It looks like this. This is a new product, and I have one color, and the color is Romance. I'm going to do a little swatch for you. It leaves just a hint of color. I'm going to put it on. It reminds me of the Hermes. I do think that I heard the sound of the UPS truck. And it reminds me of this from Hermes, which I'm deeply in love with. I got the color Rose Det, and I thought it was a limited edition, so I have a backup of this, although I have no idea where the backup is. And I'm just going to do a swatch next to it. It has a lot more color. That's the Hermes, and I can barely even see. This is the Kjaer Weis. Hi, baby. Is that the UPS? You go get him. Go get him. She gets her cookies if it's our regular UPS man, so she's very excited when that happens. And this is the one I keep in the living room and I put on all the time. It's more subtle than this one. It's less shiny than this one, which I like. I don't like a super, super shiny lip, and I just adore this, and it really feels... That is the UPS truck. That means something great arrived. And yeah, those are my lip products. I'm going to change and let's go through it all with my initial thoughts, but it's not first impressions anymore. I am in love with this white shirt. I've had it, you guys, for a couple of years. I got it from Amazon, and I just like it because it's a little better than a t-shirt and gives me a little bit more coverage than a sleeveless t-shirt. But I tend to, obviously, I wear it for videos, and I get makeup on it, and it washes beautifully, and I just line dry it, and it's cool. Where the cotton shirts that I have sleeves, it's so hot. I'm going to link it down below. They don't have it in white anymore. Several people have asked me about this the last few times that I wore it, and I definitely have to get some other colors. But yeah, okay, now let's go over everything. Starting with the Rare Beauty. The brow product, it's fine, but as I said earlier, if you have a lot of products, you have to ask yourself, what is this bringing to the table that I don't have? It's a color I don't have, but it's not a color like, oh my god, that's the best color ever. And I prefer my NYX, and I also prefer my, I think it's called Precision Brow from Sept, where that just transfers onto the skin much easier than this one. And it's just not special enough for me, even at $19, to say, yeah, get it. The eyeliner, it's a problem. You saw. I thought it was set, and it transferred up here. Let's check underneath here. It's pretty much gone. Check that out. Gone. And this is still here, but there was a lot of transfer, and when it transferred, it changed the shape of what I was doing on both sides. Like right here, it's completely gone. Now, I will say I did try this the other day, and I didn't have these two problems, but I have a feeling I was doing this for a lot longer, and it wasn't really hot. It was hot, but today feels a little bit more hot, a little more humid. So if you live somewhere where it's humid, or if you're very hooded like I am, and if you can't do this for maybe 10 minutes, just make sure it's set, it's going to be hard for you. For me, it's going to be a no, but for you, it might work. The concealer, let's look at the concealer again. Okay, now it's beginning to get craggly. And this is where I would take a mirror where I can be hands-free and like stretch out the skin. Let me just show you how I would do this. Stretch out that skin and then very carefully do some gentle buffing to get rid of that. So I'm going to just pull out with a beauty blender, look for a clean place, and super gentle and then pat it down. Better, right? Much better. So I think my conclusions on this is, if you want high coverage, if you use high coverage foundation on a regular basis, or if you once in a while go out and you do wear high coverage but you don't have an appropriate concealer for those times, then that's when this would be handy. If you have the same issues I have under the eyes, you are going to have to finesse with it, as you saw me finesse with it today. The shade, I think it's okay, and hopefully I gave you an idea of how to find your shade, how they set it up in store. Online, it's still a little confusing. It's so weird. And also Sephora has decided they know what my color is. It used to be find your color match, which I loved. I would put in a couple of different shades and it would tell me something that's close. But now they're going back to the color IQ and they think I'm like 5 shades darker than I am, and I can't erase it. So it comes up and then you kind of bounce around. They don't, at least on the Sephora site, they don't have the ability maybe to help you understand how they've broken it down. But that's how they're breaking it down, by undertone, and then you go to depth of tone. So it could work for you. If you have really dark under eyes, you must give this a try, because that is damn good coverage. This, I'm still working on it. I'm gonna make this work. I think this might be one of my better outcomes for the nose, but yeah, it's so frustrating. I wish somebody would really do a helpful video where they pull in and they show you how long it takes for them to get there. Even if they fast forward it, you know, just don't do the fade and boom, you're done. That's not helpful. So for the nose, it's still tricky, but works great there, works great here. I really like that product. And for the lips, I'm gonna keep this, even though it's not a color that, this is more my color, in other words, a little flush of something, where this is a little bit bright and a little bit bluer. But for me, there's kind of a place for that in my lipstick wardrobe, you know? It's fun and it's lovely. And this one from Kjaer Weis reminds me so much of this one in its nature. It's sheer. This is the Kjaer Weis. But I really like that. And these, I was prepared. I was like, I hate to give Jones Road a bad review. This would be the first thing that doesn't work for me that I've tried. And I figured out how to use it with a beauty blender. I love these. I'm so glad I reshot this video, because, you know, some things you just have to keep on trying. And that's why I'm here. I feel like I've done a job well if I just keep on working with something and finally figure out the best application, so you won't have the same experience that I have. You try it with the fingers, like, whoa, really? And then you try it with the brush and you're like, okay, I'm not sure I love this. And finally I found the way. You don't have to go through that process because I just showed you. So, whoops, my camera had stopped because my card was full and I went out to go see what was waiting for me, and I thought we would just open it. It would be fun if I could close every video like this, saying this is what the next video is going to be. Let's just see. Oh, okay. This isn't what I thought it would be. I got some things from a company called Bloomeffects. So this is PR. And they sent me sunscreen. Okay. I did have something planned for Sunscreen Saturday, but I think I'm going to give that the boot and take a look. It's okay, Gracie. At this stuff. So, first of all, how cute is this flippin' packaging? I love blue and yellow together. I love blue. This is an SPF 50, and it's 100% mineral. And this one is, oh, it's a prime. It's primer. Okay. And this is a lip tint in Petal Pink. Should we put this on right now? For cheap and lip. I have to say, I recently did the Naked Sundays review and they sent me a lip product. It was a lip gloss. Here's the thing with the lip products. If they have SPF in them, you will taste them because they're on your lips. It wasn't like I was licking my lips. But after 15 minutes, I'm like, what's that taste from my mouth? Let's just try this. Hey, it's in that same zone. You know what? I haven't put on any blush. Let's just do this. This is the same kind of product. This is what I'm talking to you about. It imparts a teeny bit of color, but not a lot of color. There's not a lot of shine, which I really like. It almost feels like a butter bomb. So the Kjaer Weis is stiffer, and I don't have any blush on, so let's just see what happens. God, my skin's looking so pretty today. Took a while. Just beauty blender that. I'll talk about this when I do the sunscreen review and let you know if this has sunscreen in it. I mean, makeup that is sunscreen, why? But it's awfully pretty, easy to work with. I think I like it on the lip, just color-wise. Although I just changed my entire look by adding that blush. Isn't that interesting? Okay, you guys, that is going to wrap up today's video. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. I really, really hope it was helpful. I'm very pleased with the outcome of how I was able to make things work and help you out, I think. And I hope you come back again. Until we meet again, be safe, be smart, and I'm wishing you good health.